Hello, everyone. This is Senor Quesada once again. And today we are going to learn about el pretérito de verbos regulares. So remember, these are going to be your notes. So on a piece of paper, number one, you need to take notes on the topic I'm about to explain. Two, you need to write down all my examples and complete all my practice verbs. Three, highlight and underline important questions and ideas presented here in this video. And four, once you're done with all your notes and your examples, you need to take pictures of the work and upload those pictures to Google Classroom to receive full credit for the activity. So let's begin. So by now, I'm sure you guys are wondering, what is el pretérito? Well, let me tell you what a pretérito is. El pretérito is one of the tenses that we use in Spanish to talk about events that happened in the past. As you can see, it says it is one of the tenses because we have more than one. Two, the preterite is the tense that we use to talk about actions or events that were completed at a specific point in the past. The actions in the preterite have a specific beginning or a specific end in the past. The preterite is not used to describe habitual or continuous actions in the past. And many times, the preterite is often used with the following phrases. Number one, ayer, anoche, ayer por la mañana, ayer por la tarde, ayer por la noche, la semana pasada, el mes pasado, el año pasado, hace unos días, hace unas semanas o hace unos años. Now, let's talk about regular verb conjugations and el pretérito. Now, something that you guys need to remember is that when we conjugate regular verbs, the stem never changes. The only part that changes are the endings. Remember, those endings change based on who's the person doing the action and when the action takes place, whether it's in the present, in the past, or in the future. So now that you guys remember this, let's talk about those conjugations. So let's talk about the pretérito of regular AR verbs. So let's begin with a verb that you guys already know, the verb caminar, to walk. As you guys know, we have the verb caminar, and the very first thing we need to do is to identify the ending, right? That ending adds AR. Now, once we know what the ending is, we keep the stem. That's the rest of the verb. That's the stem. As you can see, the stem is there. All we're missing is the ending. Fourth step and the last step is just add the endings in the preterite. Ayer yo caminé, tú caminaste, usted caminó, él caminó, ella caminó, nosotros caminamos, and ustedes, ellos caminaron. Notice that the yo form and the usted, él, ella form conjugations have written accent marks. Make sure you have those accent marks in your notes. So first and third person singular conjugations have those accent marks. Well, now that you have caminar, let's practice a little bit to see how you guys conjugate the following verbs, okay? So please, using the information from the last slide, conjugate the following 5 verbs. All of them are going to follow the same patterns. Derribar, formar, mejorar, temblar, and pisar. So take a couple of minutes, make sure you start with the conjugation box, and then give me those conjugations. All 5 forms of the verb you need to conjugate. Okay, if you guys are done with it, let's move on to ER verbs. Now, something that you guys need to know is that in the pretérito, ER and IR verbs are exactly the same. So once again, we are going to start with the stem or the infinitive, comer and escribir, two verbs that you guys already know. First thing we need to do is identify the ending, ER and IR. Everything else is going to be your stem. We keep the stems of those verbs, as you can see there, and all you do is add the endings of those ER and IR verbs. As you can see, both of them are exactly the same. Yo comí, yo escribí, with the accent mark over the I. Tú comiste, tú escribiste. Usted, él, ella comió. Usted, él, ella escribió. Accent mark over the O. Nosotros comimos, nosotros escribimos. Ustedes, ellos comieron. Ustedes, ellos escribieron. As you can see in both ER and IR verbs, those endings are identical, not one change or not one difference. Okay, so if you have this written down, I'm going to ask you to do some practice. So I want you to practice conjugating the following ER and IR verbs once again en el pretérito, and I want you to follow the conjugation patterns presented in the previous slide. Remember to keep the stems and only change those endings. So I want you to conjugate these verbs. Number 1, barrer. Number 2, sacudir. Number 3, perder. Number 4, describir. And number 5, reconocer. So make sure you keep those stems, only change those endings. Make sure you guys start with your conjugation box and conjugate those 5, please. Once you're done, move on to the next slide. Okay, so if you guys are done with the conjugations, you are done with your notes. Just quick reminder, these were your notes. So if you're done with everything, please make sure you wrote down all the examples and conjugated all the practice verbs that I gave you. It should be 10. Make sure you highlighted or underline important questions and ideas presented in this video. And if you have everything, then take pictures of your work and upload those pictures to Google Classroom to receive full credit. Don't forget to do this before next class. Thank you and have a good day. I will see you next class. Adios.